dealing with firstly the contract of bailment, under which the meaning of bailment, its essentials, classifications of bailment, and the respective duties and rights of the parties in a contract of bailment. And similar to bailment, there is also another concept which is known as pledge. So we shall be dealing with pledge, contract of pledge also in this session. And in that topic, we shall be dealing with the meaning, then the essentials of valid pledge, and rights of the parties of which are there in a pledge. And at last, we shall be dealing with the differences between bailment and pledge. So basically, in the last session yesterday, I had started the concept of bailment. Bailment, according to the section 148 of Indian Contract Act, it is a delivery of goods from one person to another for a special purpose upon a contract that they shall be returned back or reimbursed back to the owner on fulfillment of such purpose, as well as it can be disposed of according to the directions of the person who is the owner, that is, who delivered the goods. Now, the meaning of bailment is handing over or changing possession of goods. So it is very much clear that in case of bailment, we are just handing over the possession of the goods to another person, and that other person is supposed to do a particular task upon those goods, and once that particular task has been completed, he shall be handing over the goods back to the original person. So this original person who was the owner and who had delivered the goods, he is known as the bailer. Likewise, the person to whom the goods have been delivered, he is known as the bailee. So there are two parties in a contract of bailment. One is the bailer and the other is the bailee. Now coming to the one more thing, the contract which is there for bailment will be known as bailed property. Now coming to the essentials of bailment, the first essential is that the purpose of the contract should be delivery of goods, and the delivery of goods shall be for a specific purpose. So it is very much clear that the goods need to be delivered first, and the objective behind delivery of goods should not be anything other than performing a special purpose upon those goods. Bailment can only be done for movable goods and not for immovable goods or money. Next is that the transfer of possession must take place in case of bailment, and not the ownership should be transferred. So the owner in the case of bailment shall remain the owner, only the possession of the goods shall transfer from the owner to the person who has to do some work upon those goods. And last is that the bailee is duty bound to deliver the same goods back and not any other goods. So it is the duty of the bailee, the person to whom the goods were delivered, he has this duty to deliver back the same goods which have been bailed to him by the bailer. Exception is the case where we deposit money in our bank. The bank shall not return the same currency, same notes, so it cannot be treated as bailment. It is only a deposit process. It cannot be termed as bailment because of the reason that the same goods or the same set of goods must be returned back from the side of the bailee to the bailer. So this is an exception. Deposit of money in the bank is an exception to the concept of bailment. Now moving on to the classification of bailment. So the purpose for which bailment is done is very much clear. Now we talk about the classification of bailment. There can be either a gratuitous bailment or there can be a non-gratuitous bailment. The gratuitous bailment is that kind of bailment in which no consideration is involved. So it can be such a bailment which is made without consideration, can be for the benefit of the bailer or it can be for the benefit of the bailee. It can be either ways. Benefit can be of both the bailer and bailee. But it should be noted that in case of gratuitous bailment, there is no consideration involved. So free of cost, a person is delivering his goods and the other person is doing something upon those goods and he is returning back those goods to the original person, to the dealer. So this is known as gratuitous bailment. Conversely, when we talk about non-gratuitous bailment, it means a bailment for reward. This means that there is consideration involved in this kind of bailment. And therefore, this kind of bailment is for the benefit of both the bailer as well as the bailee. Both the parties should get benefit out of this kind of bailment. Then only we shall term it as non-gratuitous bailment. So the word non-gratuitous means without consideration. And consideration here means the price at which the promise is bought. See, if I purchase something and I give money, so my this money is the consideration for my transaction. So it is the hello.
आ रही है सर, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर।
Okay, अभी आ रही है ना आवाज?
हाँ अभी आ रही है सर, परफेक्टली
ठीक
आ
है.
रही है।
So these were the two kinds of bailments. One was gratuitous bailment and the other was non-gratuitous bailment. Now we come to the duties of a bailer. There are certain duties which have been provided under the Section 150 of Indian Contract Act. So the first duty in case of gratuitous bailment is that the bailer must disclose all the defects in the goods that he is aware of to the bailee. We are talking about the first situation, which is the case of gratuitous bailment. It means that there is no consideration involved. So, in such a situation, it is the duty of the bailer to disclose all the defects which were there in the goods, and those defects must be such that the bailer himself was aware of. So, if in such a case the bailee uses those goods and get exposed to some risks, so the bailer will be liable for damages. The bailer will be liable to compensate the bailee because he was knowing the defects. So in case he was knowing the defects, he must tell those defects to the concerned person, to the bailee. And in case any loss happens or any if the bailee gets exposed to any risk or any loss, the bailer will be liable for damages if he had not disclosed and he was knowing about the defects in the goods. So basically, it is the duty of the bailer to disclose all the defects in the goods that he was aware of to the bailee. Now, coming to non-gratuitous bailment, this duty particularly deals with the goods when they are given on hire. This means there is a consideration involved in case of bailment. So as per this duty, when the goods are bailed for a non-gratuitous bailment, that is when there is consideration involved. So in this situation, even if the bailer is aware of the defects or in the goods or he is not aware of the goods, he shall be liable towards the bailee in case the bailee suffers any loss. So the basic difference is that in case of gratuitous bailment, the bailer will be responsible towards the bailee only if he knew and then also he did not disclose the defects. But in case of non-gratuitous bailment, that is bailment in which consideration is involved, so he will be liable in any case, whether he was knowing or he was not knowing, he shall be liable towards the bailee. to compensate him if the bailee suffers any loss or any risk because of such bail payment. So in both the situations, there is a duty upon the bailer to disclose the defects. Gratuitous bailment, he shall be liable only if he was knowing and he did not disclose. But in case of non-gratuitous bailment, he shall be anyhow liable. Whether he was knowing or he was not knowing, that does not matter because there is consideration involved. So these were the two kinds of duties of the bailer. Now we talk about the duties of the bailee. Bailee is that person to whom the goods were delivered. So the first duty which the bailee is having is to take reasonable care. The bailee should take the care of the goods which have been delivered to him as of his own goods, just like he takes care of his own goods. And he shall be ensuring that all the safety measures that must be necessary to protect the goods are being taken. See, the bailer has delivered the goods upon the trust that the bailee shall take reasonable care of the goods. And it is very much required on the part of bailee that he takes care of those goods just in the way he would have taken care of his own goods. And the standard of care which should be taken by the bailee should be that standard which a prudent man, which an ordinary man of prudence shall take. So it is very much important that the bailee should take a reasonable care of the goods. This was the first duty. The second duty is not to make any unauthorized goods on unauthorized use of the goods. So when we say unauthorized use of the goods, it means any use other than for which it was delivered to the bailee. So for example, if I had delivered my particular movable goods to a person just for carrying passengers from one place to another place, and if he does something else with my vehicle, if he starts campaigning with my vehicle, if he starts using my vehicle for his own personal purpose, so it shall be an unauthorized use of the goods. So the bailee here is duty bound to use the goods for a specific purpose only and not any other purpose. And that specific purpose was beforehand told to the bailee by the bailer. And if the bailee uses the goods for any other purpose than what is agreed for, then in that case, the bailer will have the right to terminate such bailment. He can take back his goods. So I can take back my vehicle in case the bailee does anything which is inconsistent or which is unauthorized. So, and moving on, there is also a provision of compensation in case of termination of bailment from the side of bailer. If the bailer sees that the bailee is making any unauthorized use and he takes back the goods, that is, he breaks the bailment. So in that case, he can file a suit against me and he can claim for compensation from the bailee. The third duty of the bailee is not to mix the bailer's goods with his own goods. This means that if the bailee is like the bailee is having the business of receiving goods as bailment. See, for example, he's a tailor. So that particular tailor should not mix my goods. That is, he should not mix my cloth which I have given to him with other cloths. He should always maintain the difference between both of goods. It is the duty of the bailee not to mix bailer's goods with his own goods. And if he does that, he should he should be ready to pay compensation to the tailor. The next duty is to return the goods upon the fulfillment of the purpose. So, since bailment is for a specific purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, it is the duty of the bailee to return back the goods upon achievement of that purpose or upon expiry of the time period for bailment. See, for example, I can give my belongings, I can give my goods for a period of 1 year to another person. So the bailment period is for 1 year. Or there can be a situation that I give a particular good to another person for performing a specific purpose. So either way, if the purpose is completed or the time period is over, it is the first and foremost duty of the bailee to return back my goods. He should, after completing the purpose, he should return back the goods to the bailer which was bailed to him. And in case he makes any default in returning the goods on proper time, then he will be responsible for compensation or any loss which might have been caused to the bailer because of non-returning of the goods. The next duty is to deliver back to the bailer any increase or any profit upon the goods which have been bailed. So this can be understood by an example. If a person gives his cow to another person in the custody of another person, and the cow gives birth to a calf, so in this case there has been some addition to the goods which have been given to the person. So the other person must also return back the calf along with the cow. So any value addition or any increase or any accretion which has taken place upon the goods should surely be returned back to the bailer. It cannot be the case that only the goods which were given originally have to be returned. The goods along with any increase or any profit or any accretion must also be returned back to the bailer. So therefore the bailee has the duty to return the goods with any increase or any profit or any accretion. Now coming on to the rights of the bailer. See, whatever rights a person has shall be the duty of another person. When we talk about bailment, whatever rights bailer is having, those rights will be the duties of the bailee. So the first and foremost right of the bailer is to enforce the bailee's duty. And we know that the bailee's duty is to perform something on those goods and return it back to the bailer. So upon the fulfillment of all the duties of bailee, the bailer's right is accomplished or it is fulfilled. When we talk about an example, in the previous example, it was the duty of the bailee to hand over the addition or increase or any accretion to the bailer. And when the bailee does that, it means that he has performed all his duties. So the first duty, the first right of the bailer is enforcement of bailee's duty. Whatever duty the bailee is having, it is the right of the bailer to get those duties enforced. Next is right to claim damages. If the bailee fails to take proper care of the goods, the bailer has the right to claim for damages or he can claim compensation in case the bailee does not take proper care of the goods which were bailed to him. So, if by any means there is any loss or any damage taking place to the goods and it is not because of the fault of bailer, the bailer has the right to claim damages from the bailee. So basically he is having all the right to claim damages. Next is that there are certain situations where the bailer has the right to terminate the contract. If the bailee does not comply with the terms of the contract, if the terms of the bailment contract said that only the goods can be used for public transportation. So if he uses that particular vehicle for his personal use, it means that he has not complied with the terms of the bailment contract. The purpose for which the goods were bailed, he has done something else other than for which there was a contract of bailment. So in this situation, if the bailee does not comply with the terms of the contract and rather he acts in a negligent manner or any unlawful manner, in such a situation, the bailor has the right to avoid the contract, to leave the contract. He can terminate the contract and sue the bailee for damages, for compensation in case there is any loss happened to him. So he is having the right to terminate the contract as well. Now, next is the right to claim compensation. If there is an unauthorized use of the goods, or the bailee mixes the goods of the bailor with his own goods or with goods of someone else. So in this situation, the bailor can file a case against the bailee and he can claim compensation from the bailee that he has used the goods for unauthorized purpose, or he has mixed the goods with his own goods or goods of some other person, and with that he had suffered any loss. So he has all the right to claim for compensation in such a case. And the last right of bailor is the right to demand the return of goods. So as we saw that it was the duty of the bailee to return back the goods once the purpose for which the bailment was done has been completed. So it means that the bailor is having the right. He has the right to demand the return of goods. And if the bailee does not return the goods, the bailor can file a case against him, or he can claim him for sue him for compensation as well. So these were basically the rights of a bailor. Now the next is the rights of bailee. The first right which a bailee is having is the right to recover expenses. In in case there is a contract of bailment and the bailee suffers any loss or any expenses in order to ensure the safety of the goods. Okay, so if the bailee incurs any expense or any loss because of ensuring the safety of the goods, such expenses he can recover back from the bailor. If he had to take reasonable care of the goods, out of the way care of the goods, so those expenses he can recover back from the bailor, but not a general expense. There should be a special expense which had to be borne by the bailee. In case there is a normal expenditure which is expected, which is anticipated generally by people, that expense cannot be recovered. But any extraordinary expenses which the bailee had to incur in order to keep the goods safe, he has all the right to recover such expenses from the bailor. Next is that he is having the right to remuneration. Since when we consider an example, when I gave up my piece of cloth to a tailor, so that tailor is a bailee, and in this case he has all the right to receive remuneration. When the goods are bailed to the bailee and he had performed something upon those goods, he becomes entitled to receive certain remuneration for the services which he had rendered. It only applies in case of non-gratuitous bailment, not in the case of gratuitous bailment. So in that case, in the case of non-gratuitous bailment, he has no right of receiving remuneration, but he can only recover remuneration in case of gratuitous bailment. That is when there is consideration involved. The next right which the bailee is having is the right to recover compensation. There may be a situation that the bailor was not having the capacity to give the goods for bailment. There can be a situation that the bailor was not the owner of the goods and he gave the goods to the bailee for bailment. So in this case, if the original owner comes to the bailee and takes back his goods, and because of that the bailee suffers any loss, so in this situation the bailee has all the right to receive compensation from the side of the person who had delivered the goods. This is because the bailor in this case was not the real owner. If he had been the real owner, nobody else would have come and taken back the goods from the bailee. The situation is that he was not the owner, the bailor was not the owner, and then also he bailed the goods by making any fraud or any misrepresentation or any undue influence. He what he did? He delivered the goods to the bailee, and then the original owner came and he took back the goods from the bailee, due to which the bailee suffered any loss. So in such a situation, the bailee has the right to recover compensation. He can also file a case against that person because he was not the owner, he made a fraud or he made a misrepresentation. So he can all the time go to the court for filing a case or claiming for compensation. The next right is very much important. Lien is a kind of right which means that if the dues of a person are not being cleared, so he has the right to retain the property, retain any kind of property. So in case of bailment, if the bailee was eligible to remuneration and he did not receive the remuneration from the side of the bailor, and anyway he had done all the things which he was required to do upon those goods, so in that case he has the right to exercise lien. This means he can retain back those goods till the time his dues amount are cleared. So we, by this right, we mean that if the bailor fails to make payment of the remuneration or does not pay the amount which was due, the bailee in this situation has the right to keep the goods which were bailed to him in his possession till the time the dues are cleared from the side of the bailor. So it is the most effective right which a bailee can exercise, because we, whether we know or not, that is another question, but in day to day life we perform so many contracts of bailment. So in case we give our goods, we give our like I give my bike to a service center, and he performs, the service center mechanic performs all the things, he has all the right to keep my bike till I clear the dues of the service center. Similarly, uh, similarly, if any kind of remuneration or any kind of amount which was due has not been yet paid, so he can exercise this right of lien. And coming to the last right of the bailee has the right to file a suit against a wrongdoer, against any person who is a wrongdoer. This means bailor and bailee were two parties, but a third party comes and starts interfering with the bailee in using the goods, in performing the task which he was required to perform on those goods. So if a third party comes into picture and he obstructs or he prevents the bailee from performing that particular objective or doing something with the goods, so he has all the right to sue the third party. So after the goods have been bailed and any third party deprives the bailee of using such goods, then in such a situation, the bailee can file a case against the wrongdoer, against the third party. There is also another right that the bailee, along with the bailor, can bring a joint suit against the third party. They both can come together and file a case against any third party. But it should be noted that the third party should not be the owner. If the third party is the owner, then the person who was the so-called bailor, he will be in question, and the bailee will have no right of filing case against the real owner, because it was basically the bailee had to take care that whether the bailor was real owner or not. So this applies to the third persons, and the third person means that such persons who are not the real owners, because if the real owner comes and takes back the goods, nobody can file a case against him because the other parties are themselves at fault. So it should be noted that the parties to the contract of bailment should be authentic. They should be lawful. It should not be the case that one of them is not having the authority to either give goods for bailment or take goods for bail. So it should be noted. So these were certain duties and rights of the parties which are there in a contract, the bailer as well as the bailee, and then we discussed the rights of the bailer as well as the bailee. So basically, this was all about contract of bailment. We discussed the meaning of contract of bailment, the different categories of contract of bailment. There can either be a bailment for reward, that is a non-gratuitous bailment, or there can be a bailment not for any kind of reward. There can be a free of cost bailment just for mutual satisfaction. There can be an example giving my book to you, to my student. It is a bailment in which there is no consideration, only mutual satisfaction is the benefit. Now then, we discussed the rights and duties of both the parties of bailment. Now moving ahead, there is another concept which is known as the concept of pledge, or we can call it a contract of pledge. So when we talk about pledge, it is also a kind of bailment. How it is a kind of bailment? Just because in case of pledge also, there is a delivery of goods or bailment of goods, but the purpose for which the bailment of goods is done is very much specific. This specific purpose is that the goods will be bailed in this case as a security for repayment of debt or any loan or any performance of promise. So, in case of bailment, the purpose would maybe anything. It can be mutual satisfaction, it can be monetary benefit, it can be anything. But in case of pledge, the objective behind pledging the goods is that the person wants to pledge his goods or bail his goods as a security for repayment of any particular loan or any particular debt or any performance of promise. So the basic difference between bailment and pledge is that in case of bailment, the purpose can be anything. Whatever the parties agree, it can be the purpose for bailment. But in case of pledge, it is very much specified beforehand that the purpose for which goods can be pledged is only for security for the repayment of any debt or any loan or any performance of promise. So it is similar to bailment. It is a category of bailment. It is a kind of bailment. And bailment and pledge, pledge is also known as pawn. There is another term for pledge. It is known as pawn. Section 172 of the Indian Contract Act defines pledge, and it says that the section 172 says that by pledge we mean bailment of goods as a security for the repayment of debt or loan advanced or performance of an obligation or promise. So in this case, the person who pledges the goods as security is known as the pledger. So the bailer in this case is known as pledger or pawner. Since pledge is also known as pawn, the pledger is also known as pawner, and the person in whose favor the goods are pledged is known as pledgee or pawnee. So the bailee in this situation is known as pledgee or pawnee. So I hope the basic fundamental difference between pledge and bailment is clear. Any question up till now? Hello? Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Okay. So any uh, basic confusion in the concept of bailment agreement and pledge in the meaning as well as the other things which we are going to discuss other things as well. But till now, any confusion or any doubts?
No, sir. I'm sure that you're aware that we do have our internal test next week. So if you can just give a brief idea what all will
Okay, so
come
I
in
will
that
move
test.
ahead. We talk about the essential is a special therefore all the essential element. There are other elements as well. Yeah. Okay. Before moving, I shall brief you about this. See, the concept of agency, concept of indemnity, concept of guarantee, bailment, and pledge. So, five topics are there, and the questions will be, I think, MCQs, which will be from all these five topics. Basic questions will be there regarding the meaning and any other likewise can be questions. So these five topics will be there. Okay.
Repeat the topic now.
Hmm?
Sir, can you please repeat the topic? I just want to write.
Okay. The first topic is contract of agency.
Contract of
Agency.
contract of agency. Yes, sir.
Second is contract of indemnity.
Indemnity. Okay, sir.
Contract of indemnity. INDEMNITY. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then contract of guarantee.
Guarantee. Okay.
And last two topics will be contract of bailment and contract of pledge.
Which. Sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I
Thank you.
think
Okay, sir. Okay.
there can be two questions from all these topics. Okay. So
सर ये जो सर सर
हाँ बताइए.
ये
हाँ बोलिए.
बोल रहा हूँ सर ये जो एग्जामिनेशन होगा टेस्ट जो होगा ये हम लोग का फाइनल एग्जाम के साथ इसका मार्क्स क्या ऐड होगा?
ये इंटरनल मार्क्सेस हैं जो कि आपका मेडिसिन तो नहीं हुआ है अभी तक. सो उस मेडिसिन के साथ में अभी तक का जो भी टॉपिक कवर्ड है उसका ये इंटरनल असेसमेंट होगा. ठीक है.
ओके ओके
तो ये 10 मार्क्स का एग्जाम होगा.
सर
हाँ
हेलो. सर श्यामल
बोलिए.
भाई भी पूछा ना कि इंटरनल मार्क्स ऐड हो गया नहीं सर, तो ये कंफर्म
हाँ,
मतलब
ये
जनरली सर
इंटरनल
टेस्ट
मार्क्स ऐड होगा.
ओके.
You have
और
10%
सर
weightage.
10% वेट टोटल मार्क्स कितना रहेगा सर? 100 मार्क्स का
टोटल मार्क्स आउट ऑफ
कि 30 मार्क्स?
100 मार्क्स होगा जिसमें कि 50% होता है एंट्री प्लस 10% इंटरनल. ओके. और 10% internal in the mid sem and 30% the mid sem exam. So this is the basic thing.
ओके सर. ऑल क्वेश्चन आर सब्जेक्टिव ऑब्जेक्टिव सर?
Objective.
हेलो.
Okay. All the questions will be objective kind of.
और सर टाइम ड्यूरेशन कितना सर?
Your voice is breaking.
सर एग्जाम टाइम ड्यूरेशन कितना रहेगा? टाइमिंग 1 hour
10 minutes for each.
10 minutes
Because this is 10 minutes. You will have 10 minutes.
और टोटल क्वेश्चन सर इन ऑब्जेक्टिव
10 questions. 10 questions of 1 mark each.
ओके सर. 1 minute 1 question.
So, हाँ. So I guess you all are accessing your Swadhyay portal.
सर क्वेश्चन क्या क्या आएंगे सर एक बार इंडिकेट कर दीजिए ना मैम, हम लोग पढ़ लेंगे सर.
basic questions regarding the definitions, regarding the meaning. बिल्कुल, it will be very much simple. कोई इसमें confusion नहीं होगा.
ओके ओके सर ओके
अच्छा, एक बात, आप लोग सभी कोई स्वाध्याय पे एक्सेस कर रहे हैं ना?
यस सर आई ऑलरेडी डाउनलोड सम सब्जेक्ट सर
ठीक है. So I will be for these subjects you can download from the website.
हेलो
हाँ, हेलो.
हाँ भाई बोलो श्यामल भाई बोलो
ये अध्याय पे कैसे करना पड़ता थोड़ा गाइड कर देना, मैं किया नहीं होगी।
ओके ओके मेरे को कॉल करना मैं बता दूंगा अभी रुक जाए हाफ एन आवर बाद कॉल करना है ठीक है
ठीक है, तो हम लोग अब क्या करते हैं?
ओके सर
दो तीन पॉइंट्स हैं,
सर
दो तीन टॉपिक्स हैं, तो हम लोग कवर कर लेते हैं ताकि हमारा क्लियर हो जाए सारा.
सर एग्जाम कब से स्टार्ट होगा सर
ये होगा 27 नेक्स्ट वेडनेसडे.
27 ठीक है सर
मेल आपके पास आ गया होगा. मे बी वो आज आ जाएगा, कल में आ जाएगा आपके पास.
Sir, I am intervening.
ओके
Okay.
I have a lot of questions. It has gone. Timetable has gone in your mail.
So I will be dealing with the last topic for today's class, that is the difference between bailment and pledge. Okay.
ओके
Just 5 minutes, you pay attention. This will be over. So the first basis of difference is regarding the meaning. In both the cases, goods are being transferred from a person to another person. But in case of bailment, the purpose can be anything. But in case of pledge, the purpose is predefined. It is only for security of a debt or security of any loan which has been initiated. Talking about the parties, in both the cases there are when we talk about the parties in case of bailment, as well as pledge, there are two parties. But in case of bailment, the parties are known as bailer and bailee, and in case of pledge, the parties are known as pledger and pledgee. When we talk about consideration, in case of bailment, there may be or may not be consideration, but in case of pledge, there has to be consideration. Next is the right to sell. In case of bailment, the bailee has no right to sell the goods which have been bailed. But in case of pledge, the pawnee or the pledgee has the right to sell the goods. And last difference is upon the purpose. The purpose of bail goods may be anything, but the purpose of pledged goods is only for security of repayment of any debt or a performance. Okay, any question?
नो सर।
मिनट्स जो एग्जाम का टाइम है ना सर, ये
I
काफी
request
शॉर्ट टाइम है सर, थोड़ा सा।
I- नहीं, एक्चुअली क्या है ना कि ये आपको अभी लग रहा है देयर विल बी 10 क्वेश्चंस, आपको ज्यादा समय नहीं लगेगा उसमें। 10 क्वेश्चन आपको 10 मिनट में आराम से हो जाता है। जनरली हमारे यहाँ 30 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं हाफ एन आवर में, तो उसी तरह से 10 क्वेश्चंस 10 मिनट में।
ओके
ठीक है,
ठीक है सर, ओके सर।
और हम लोग आपसे कांटेक्ट, हम लोग आपको इन्फॉर्म कर देंगे। आप लोग बस स्वाध्याय पे एक्सेस करिए, एवरीथिंग विल बी क्लियर। ठीक, रुमना मैम।
नहीं आने से कुछ बता दीजिएगा सर।
Yes, sir.
मैम तो इनको स्टूडेंट्स को सारा इंफॉर्मेशन तो मेल करके हम लोग भेज ही रहे हैं
Huh?
ना, रिगार्डिंग एग्जाम एंड ऑल, एवरीथिंग इज देयर इन द मेल ना।
Yes.